of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom Hooper.
Present.
Jack Cutting.
Here.
Sabrina Ford.
Here.
Morris Myers.
Here.
Jan Green.
Here.
Richard Grimminger. We have a quorum.
Okay, we have an agenda in front of us. Are there any additions, corrections, or things to this agenda?
I move for approval of agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Please take a moment and look through the minutes. There's quite a bit of a discussion in the very last page. I reviewed it, and I believe everything there seems to be in order, but please, nice to have second or third sets of eyes on it. These are ones you're moving towards.
Yes, so that's what this is.
You're planning this.
So that's how much I got put into that publication, and also on this one, 330.
And that,
I've got copies of both of those for them.
are those ones you're proposing that you participate in? And they fit that gap that we talked about? So that's the four.
Yeah. And here's an example.
Here's that continuity point. Any additions or corrections to the minutes of last meeting? That's from Tuesday, December 19th. Is there a motion to approve?
I motion.
Oh, second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. There is a copy of the financial report that we have here. And the balance looks a little higher than it should be because the advertising we approved at last meeting has already been placed and it has not been expensed out yet. Those checks have not been cut, so they haven't come out of this expense report. So we still have those three actually major advertising, one for the state and the two periodicals. And if anyone noticed any discrepancies or changes in this, if not, we can maintain an approval.
So moved.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have under old business, I don't know if we have anything specific other than I got lots of comments about the advertising that we did. And the people that came in, I don't know if Sabrina, you found people in your establishment that had seen some of the advertising in February. And I was at an art show this weekend in St. Louis, and people commented about that. And they were then we were the weather and stuff kept us wet. But we're planning on coming down. So that was, you know, another thing. We also have, Sandra will have a little later on, a couple other periodicals that will come in to play that we might consider advertising in as well.
We had several people through the Welcome Center mention, and I actually had a couple of aldermen who, I was able to take some of my tourism budget and put it in radio in the St. Louis market to kind of make an integrated marketing campaign out of it. And so between the print and the social media and the radio, I had a couple of aldermen who said, hey, I heard the St. Genevieve ad on the radio.
I heard that
So,
came away.
yeah, so it's nice to hear that it gets around.
And I did notice in my business some more foot traffic during that 10 or 15-day period after that, during and after that. And I'm not sure, we won't know until we get a little further down the line of reporting from the hotels and motels and bed and breakfast, but I think we had, you know, some more occupancy than normal. And so I think
In that time of
in
year.
that, right,
Yeah.
in that period of time that we're trying to target.
There's an adage in marketing that a person has to receive your message between 7 and 9 times. It's part of like a funnel, and so maybe I hear it, maybe my husband hears it, maybe between the two of us we hear it between 7 and 9 times, and then at some point you reach that tipping point and you decide to take action. You're like, honey, let's go on a trip, or let's go down to St. Genevieve. So they might have heard, you know, one of those messages during that period, and at some point they will reach their tipping point. That's what the theory is, anyway. Some of them heard their tipping point during that period, okay, so.
Yeah. And this weekend, for the Scottish games coming up this coming weekend, we passed out over 250 of their cards at our booth, and we only gave them to people that were interested. So there's a lot of interest in that, and that's a good thing. And I don't think I only know. Are you booked, Sabrina?
We're sold out.
And I talked to Mike across the street, and I think he has 3 or 4 rooms, and everybody else is sold out. So,
That is good, yeah.
so that's very nice to see, especially that early in spring.
And this is a new event,
New
Yeah.
event.
and we didn't have, I mean, we have a local event that weekend, the St. Genevieve Hospital's Taste of St.
St.
Gen
Genevieve,
event is that weekend, but as far as bringing foot traffic in, we didn't have an event right then, so.
Oh, that's nice to have a new event that looks like it's going to be really successful. Any other old business? Discussions on things we've worked on in the past? We'll move on to new business. We have one expenditure here that Sandra's given me. This is the continuing
I have to pass this out to them.
CTM marketing, and it has and it's a continuation of that $220 a month that we have been contributing to that, which is the distribution of the rat cards. And the program is on, the contract is on one side, and the list of where they are distributed is on the other side.
The one on the other side is a new program that
New-
I'm
okay, I'm sorry.
suggesting we might want to do
Okay.
a trial. So you're absolutely correct about this side.
Oh, yeah, these are the,
Those interactive display boards.
yeah,
So normally, in your meetings, you're normally approving budgets for the $220 a month on this CTM rack card distribution. This is for our rack cards to be throughout the region for CTM. This is the time of year when we renew this contract. So at a previous meeting, I think it was Sabrina had mentioned that she wants to be sure that you're seeing those contracts and that you have those contracts in your, in your files. So technically, I only asked her to take it through September 30th because that's the end of the city's fiscal year, and then we'll have to do another 6-month one after that.
and last time we approved for reprinting of the rat cards.
And those are getting delivered to CTM this week, so.
And that'll be with a new artwork on it.
Yes.
So that'll be all nice and fresh. And in fact, Sandra brought the artwork in and we looked at it, and she had done some color enhancement. And if you look at it here, but we put it back to that 6 or 8 feet that when people walk by the rack cards, and we made a choice because one of them really popped.
Really jumped out at you.
It made a big difference, and you wouldn't think it would make that much of a difference between 18 inches away and 6 feet away, and it really does.
So I guess first you need a motion on this.
So yeah, basically, do we have a motion to continue the $220 per month? And at this time, since we do have a contract that we could approve at this time, we would do that funding through September.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
That way we don't have to bring that up
Right.
again till September.
So then, what you have on the back of that, if you flip your copies over, at the top it says St. Louis Visitor E-Tractions, so those are attractions electronically, Explore boards. So these are those interactive boards that have like digital display on them, and you can see the list of the St. Louis area attractions like the Science Center and then the hotel. So if people are in the hotel, some people will go to, the rack card and pick this up and say, oh honey, let's go here, this looks fun, or whatever. Some are more attracted to digital display. So they're offering us to do a trial with them because it's the same company that does our rack card for $100 a month. And we could, if you wanted to do this, I just wrote a suggestion on there that you might want to consider May through August, which would be $100 a month or $400. So we could do whatever you'd like.
And that's kind of been our bigger tourist area. We might actually want to extend that even into September, because with the wine harvest and things, it's something that
Right.
plugs that and do that in 5 months instead of the 4.
Well, and down at the bottom, it tells you about what kind of reports we can get from this. So, I was thinking maybe we do a trial and see what kind of, they'll give us a report about how many people interacted with it, how many clicked through to our website, which is nice because with the rack cards, we see these when people walk in with them, but with this, you'll actually see the clicks.
It says the number who actually sent directions and your information on their mobile devices. Is that built in so they will actually click on that?
Yes.
If they put that information in.
Yeah, what they're saying is they can report on this, how many people clicked on your address information.
So are these inside or are these
They're inside, it would be like in a
So,
hotel lobby.
like Crown Plaza by the airport? That's not the big black building on the side. As you're
That,
driving down the highway, they have a billboard that changes. That's
no,
not-
no,
the
this is
building.
something somebody can walk up to,
Well,
see.
they're in the, basically, usually it's in the lobby near where they have a restaurant or in meeting
Okay.
areas.
Yeah.
There's one of these in Louisville when I was staying at a hotel that was in the major area. And there were kids there standing around and parents
Right.
looking for stuff to do.
I think the type of reports that they can furnish would be good information for us. And,
It's worth a try.
yeah, it's worth a
think
try,
it's
and
worth a
I
try.
like Tom's suggestion too of extending it through September.
Yeah, but we're only getting a trial period. What's a regular price?
Yeah.
Oh, she'll do the trial however long we want it to be, like I just suggested
And then
April through September.
Do you know what
May.
what a renewal price would be?
I
Yeah,
don't, I
okay.
don't know.
Um,
I mean, obviously I would lobby to get.
Well, hopefully if we get the electronic reports and things, we can see if this,
Right, I like
It's
the
worth
electronic
renewing.
pricing, that's really reasonable,
Yeah.
but what is full price?
yeah, and that's,
Right.
we can do.
I think it was that she wasn't making us commit to a longer contract. Yeah.
Right.
But you're absolutely right, I'll find that out and email that to you.
Right. But I think maybe, doing this through those stronger months all the way through
Right,
September
yeah.
might be a way to, to take advantage
So
of.
we need that 5 months to make a decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we can also log that and we can do that by month, the hits and everything.
Yeah.
And compare that with the other tourism that we have here in town. I think it's another tool that we might be able to take advantage of.
Well, and I think the idea is it's when they have a high amount of foot traffic too.
Right.
So those people are already in St. Louis, they're only an hour away from us, you know, so hopefully we can draw them in this direction.
Yeah.
So are you saying, May through September?
September,
What are you thinking?
yeah, 5 months.
I move that we go with this E-Tractions from May through September, cost $500.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I will find out if we can get the same rate or if the rate is gonna go up. I mean, we're a pretty good customer for them, so maybe they'll give us the same rate.
I haven't really seen one of these electronic boards. Like, how often will your ad pop up? You know, like, does someone have to stand there for a long time for it to?
So
there-
it's like an attractions thing, so you tell it, you know, obviously you're already in Missouri, so it's gonna be displaying Missouri information to you. But, you can tell it that you want to see things to do, you can see destinations. Cape Girardeau participates in it, that's how I found out about it, because I was at a tourism conference last week with the Cape Girardeau people. But, so they're gonna, it's like a self-select thing. The
Okay.
person standing in front of it is gonna be pushing the things of interest to them.
Right, and we fit a lot of the categories, so anytime they hit a category.
Or are
of a-
we
of a
only gonna be
destination.
listed in one category or for that
No,
price?
it's multiple categories.
It is multiple.
Yes, it's, basically,
So for like wineries will come up and
yeah, and day trips,
day
you know,
trips and,
yeah, and bed and breakfast, you know, all of those things should hit towards us.
I'm gonna research this online, like, I've never seen one of these.
Yeah, you could actually probably go to any of those hotels and look
Yeah.
at it.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll ask those additional questions. I mean, when we move forward with the contract, we'll have to go through all that process anyway, but, since you're interested in that, I'll let you know. what
Yeah,
that is.
and we can just kind of look at it and see if we can find our costs per follow through, you know, per hit and all that type of thing. But, you know,
Right, well,
we
we'll
know
get
what
that
our-
in our analysis,
Right, our
yeah.
analysis, and we can look at that and just, if at the end of 5 months or six, we have, you know, 1,000 people who've seen it, or 200 people, we can make a difference going forward.
right.
Right.
What do you think, Joyce?
Cost per click, when we reevaluate. Okay,
Let's see.
so,
Let's do this other
Sure,
stuff and then we'll.
sure.
You also have another sheet of paper in front of you, that is, going, it is the downtown sales tax the past 8 quarters and lodging report. These are, and of course, these are, the numbers that we have here are on the dates that the monies were received. So some quarters, because a lot of people report sales tax quarterly, some people do it monthly, some people do it annually. So there's skewed by that. But just, we had both of these categories that are the things that we do for advertising contribute to the increase in both sales tax and head tax within our area. And we have, in both instances, we've had an increase in the last year. And the quarterly numbers are kind of skewed a little bit just because of the way people report. But in looking at the numbers, we had sales tax increase of almost $3,000 in sales tax, but $3,000, and that's the local sales tax generated, correct?
Yes, that's
And
just.
that's only 2%. And so that means almost $150,000 in more expenditures here this year than last, that sales tax was collected on.
And this is, it says, well, I think I put it in my email. Oh, it does say downtown.
Yeah.
So the way they figure out downtown is they just look at the TIF district. You know,
So-
the
so-
downtown TIF
Yeah,
district, so.
So, but that is, and that's just, so that's a nice thing to see that we're having some increase. But when you know that's just that's based on 2% of the total tax collected. And that's a significant increase that hopefully we're contributing to. As well as the head tax collected, we were up, not significantly, but up. And then that's a nice thing to see. And some of that we can contribute that to, you know, the remodel of you know, more rooms in the bed and breakfast, and also some of the Airbnb reporting. And it's nice to see that that's up, which means that we're getting a few more heads in beds.
And maybe some midweek business
And some
too.
midweek business and other things. So that's a nice thing to see. And what happens is our advertising is one of the things that drives people there. And Sandra has put together a couple of things to complement the last advertising campaign that we did in February. There's some spring gap advertising, which is what we're trying to do, is fill the gaps between the big events that the community does already and that uses the tourism money for. And these are some advertising that we might be able to do that will help supplement that, and again, get that image and that logo and everything in front of more people more times, so we have follow-through.
Yes. So, you'll see, I know these look very similar, and it's on front and back on your copies. But one at the top, I wrote in St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and that one says Summer Fun Guide. If you flip it over, the other one says South County Times and Webster Kirkwood Times. This South County Times and Webster Kirkwood Times is one of the ones that we just did the full page in during the month of February. And in the spring, they do a special section that's called Day Trips and Overnights. And so I'll pass this around while I'm telling you about it. But Day Trips and Overnights comes out in the spring each year.
Do you have a publication date on that?
It's always in,
Reserve space by April 6.
comes out.
So, April 20th.
So you can see the distribution on here. Webster Kirkwood Times and South County Times together are 78,000 distributed in, and it shows you all the communities there. I know we've talked about this before, and I've done like summaries for you before, but I thought it might be instrumental for you as a learning thing, since you're kind of building an interest in this area, to see those communities that are included in those two. Now, you see that there's two columns over here to the right where it says price list per issue. WKT and SCT is obviously Webster Kirkwood Times and South County Times. When you add WEW, the price goes up. That's the West End Word. That is the section just to the east of Barnes Jewish Hospital. That's only 17,000 additional, and it does drive the price up quite a bit. So generally, I opt to go with our sweet spot target marketing, which is that band through Webster, Kirkwood, Pagedale, and then the South County Times people that are like the Hill, South County, Oakville, that are easy to get to Interstate 55. So they do this every year, and it's a special section. This is what we were able to, I had this at the last meeting too, but this is what we were able to do last year, and I have this much included in my budget. So you can see tourism marketing budgeted. I have 600 budgeted for this 1/4 page ad across here. So if you wanted to, we could take this whole section, well, we could take the whole page too. So a full page would be like this, and that would be the half. And if you wanted to, we would just subtract the $600 out of either price here. Now you'll also notice, just to complicate things further, I know this is a lot of information, you see where I wrote in FS and F, that's spring and fall. So when we commit to publishing with them in their spring and their fall day trips sections, then they give us an even further discount. So if we go in their spring and fall, instead of $2,500 for those two issues, it's only $2,000 for those issues for a full page. So if you decided...
And is there money in tourism to do that type of a split, the 600, basically?
I have the 600 budgeted, yes.
Right.
So you could take 600 off of 2,000, and you would only have to pay that to bump it up to a.
Twice, if we decided to go twice a
Well,
year.
that's true, yeah.
And that 2,000 is based on twice a year publication.
It is, yes, yes.
So the 600 pays for a quarter ad or
Yes.
a half page ad?
Just this quarter is what's in my tourism budget. And I was planning to, to do that again, but if we want to bump it up, I've got that in my budget, and you would only have to do the
If we did, if we
difference.
contributed $1,400, we would get a full page in there and do it in a,
We could
It
do some
runs
editorial.
twice, spring and fall?
Yes.
yeah. Basically, it's $2,497, which is actually $2,500
Right.
If
if you
do
did
one.
just spring or just fall. But if you commit to both of them, it's $2,000
Right.
Per publication.
per publication.
And this is a one-run special
Yeah,
edition?
It's a
type
special edition that people keep to kind of guide what they're gonna do for the summer or for their fall travel.
So $4,000 for two.
Yes.
Right, and the publication date in April, in this particular one is April 20th, and the fall publication date is August 24th.
And you have 600, do you have 1,200 in the budget?
Yes, so this 600, I was just looking at what I have for the spring for this quarter
Okay.
page here.
So you do have 1,200.
Yeah.
And no problem with mixing funds, I guess.
And
Well,
this-
I
and
just
this
code the
reaches,
invoice.
Everybody but the Central West End, the WEW.
That's the
Yeah, the
yeah, the West End word is, that's the, yeah, Central West
East of
End,
Fourth
you're
Street.
absolutely right, yeah.
Where all the money is, where we need the people, we need to reach those
Well,
people.
Kirkwood and Webster.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Sunset,
Yeah.
those are
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Orson Woods, and that's,
That Central West End area is really, like I said, it's east of Barnes Hospital, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of, bars and restaurants and,
It's an
Yeah.
entertainment district, and then there's a lot of homes in there. They've got a lot
well,
of,
fewer homes, that's
fewer,
why there's
yeah,
only
they-
17,000
17,000.
of them.
And these papers go to people's homes? Is that,
Yes, and
Is
it's
that where they get
distributed in
distributed?
racks, yeah,
and racks at businesses?
yes. These in particular. So before you decide on that, not to confuse things, but I feel like you've got a good grasp on this one. The other side of this is another, I would say, key spring publication. This is the tabloid section in the Post-Dispatch that's called Go. It used to be called Get Out, if anybody remembers the Get Out days. So this is, they call it their summer fun guide, and then they have another one in the fall as well. But their summer fun guide, you can see their pricing there for a full page.
That's not for reserve to pay for.
Right, it doesn't come out until May, yeah.
Yeah, commitment by May 4th.
Yeah. So I did, just to make things a little easier, I passed this down this side. Did I pass this on your side?
No.
Okay.
And this is a summary
You
where,
share it with them?
where I'm doing a full page. I think you have $330 budgeted from tourism. That's
Yes,
that
on this
discount.
one. You've had enough, haven't you?
Well, I got a meeting at 6:30.
Aye,
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. I have 330 budgeted for this one. So in the little summary that I put together there for you, whatever you decide, if you want to bump it up to a full or a half, you could figure on taking 330 off of that full or half price, and then that's how much you would need to approve to do that.
And do both these have digital campaigns? I know that the summer fun guide has,
Yes, it
it's
does.
a short period one. Didn't know if they have something.
This one allows us to put a tile ad on their website, and I usually do that, and I pay for that out of tourism then.
Okay.
They don't have the same kind of like a digital impressions kind of
Right.
a program that the,
And this just comes out in one issue, May 20th?
Mhm.
Yes,
We have
and
to
for
have
them,
commit by May 4th.
yeah, you know how that Go section is it's separate each
Right.
week, kind of like the Parade
I think
magazine.
you had one here last
I
time.
did, yeah, I've had them here at these meetings before.
Okay.
They
But
take-
people hang on to it then, you don't have to keep the whole paper, you just keep that section, and whenever you're trying to
Right.
decide what to do. This would be a good one too, both of these would be good to put our upcoming events,
Right, that, I think that pretty much is what we,
really have to have as the heart of it.
that's the kind of the,
That's what my next question was, what kind of material is gonna go in it?
very much like, do you saw the advertorials that we did the last ones that we just did?
Yeah,
Be more likely we'll do an advertorial, and we need to change that up. We had great content in that, let's move some of that around. We have, and as we get closer to some of these, events and also things changing with the national park and things like that, some of those things can be worked in towards that.
Can we mention the national park on the ads?
Oh, actually, I'm meeting with them soon, but we'll find out what's acceptable and
Yeah, they probably have.
their guidelines. Megan, do you happen to have those, the copy of those two pubs in here with you, or they?
they're out on my counter, but I
So
can
what
go
do you
grab them.
Well, I think
I really like this because it sticks around, it's a separate insert inside the paper.
Well, and both of these are kind of inserts in that.
Oh, this one is too?
The
Okay.
day trips and overnights, is that's kind of an insert.
they're both,
They're
yeah,
both-
pullouts.
They're both pullouts. And,
Okay.
and the nice thing is, I think we'll basically keep, probably a third or so of what we did on the last advertorial, and break it down to
Fresh pictures.
fresh pictures, also just things that are very timely to the publication, the garden walks, the different presentations, the museums that are opening and changing.
Right.
Feature paragraphs on those things as
Okay,
targets,
well,
as bullet points.
do we get a discount if we do pick all the areas, like WEW? Do we get a discount there as well? To reach them extra 17,000 papers, it might be worth that extra money.
Well-
I can find that out, I could probably do the math and figure
It's
this
probably gonna
out.
be, probably
It'd
gonna
probably be
be real
right
close
around
to 3,000.
3,000, and then she
for
has
that
600,
publication.
so that's 2,400 for us.
That's for all three, you see up there where it
Yeah,
says
you're
WKT,
right.
so, it would be, if it went from 24 to 2,000, I'm guessing
It's about a
probably
$500 discount.
Exactly.
Right.
This would be about 3,000.
And then you'd get all three,
Yeah, and then you're hitting that extra 17,000 people.
yeah?
How much money do we have to
Yeah,
play with?
what are
Well,
we playing
Well,
with?
you have your,
We've got, we're, right now, the big thing is that we've been working on, we had a lot of discussion, that, the billboards, that we've had those for a number of years, and during that time, we really didn't see an increase in head tax or sales tax. And that was $14,000 a year spent on those. And so it's kind of, we had some surplus funds, so some of that surplus funds that we had, we used to generate the RAC card program. And we're looking forward at doing these and evaluating these probably after this group of advertising for the spring, sitting down and really looking at that and discussing whether we want to renew the billboards or continue doing periodical advertising like this and picking places where that will be well served, and exploring even more online targeted marketing, whether expanding through Facebook advertising or other media things. And because this is, we tried the billboards for a number of years. They didn't make a big change. So we're gonna try something else for a little while and see. That's all
I think
open
it
for
was
discussion,
that one, yeah.
but, by everybody. It's,
That's why I think that these are way better than billboards, because these are reaching out to people.
so that's, yeah, because they're
That's
an
why I was saying
active, they're an
variety.
active form rather than a passive form of advertising.
So you're saying if the money's available, you'd rather go for all three?
I would, yeah, just for that extra little bit of money.
Yeah. our annual money that we generally collect for, TTC for the head tax is in that $24,000 a year. It's been kind of very stable at that.
Right.
And, so, you know, we'd like to see that go up if we can. And, we kind of looked at that $14,000 as being spent on billboards and dividing up that into 3 or 4 groups of
Different
advertising
things.
like this. And we just spent a group of that and also, and helped out with the one that we didn't commit to last year, but was the state ad that we added, that into, that kind of helped, the tourism out because the funds weren't available for that.
Right, we usually get a state grant for that, but.
So are you thinking doing all 3 of these and not doing the post, or doing all of them?
But that's,
I'm
and these are, what we're looking at, and these numbers are for full page. And so that's what
Right,
we need
and
to
we
consider.
can also do
that.
like
And-
half page and do all 3.
Well, well, the Times is a slightly smaller publication.
Yes.
This one.
As far as slightly smaller format like this.
The Times, this is the Times
It's
right
the
here.
Times, yeah.
So
that-
it's kind of like a mini newspaper.
So it's not quite a full newspaper size.
But the other
page.
one, the Post-Dispatch,
Is
the
more,
Go is a tabloid.
Is a tabloid.
So like the Riverfront Times,
it's
the
more of
tabloid size.
this
It's a
size
vertical, yeah.
as a full page.
Mm,
Maybe
It's a little bigger than
bigger
that,
than
but you
that.
got the idea. I think
Yeah.
everybody's familiar with it.
Yeah, so,
I usually bring all that stuff, nobody ever wants to look at it, so.
Well, if you do a half page, can you choose above or below the fold, or how does that?
Typically, it's gonna be below because they're probably gonna put editorial on the top. I mean, I could put in a request.
Well, I think it makes a difference. I mean, you know, if it was on the top. that'd
I'll
be
tell you,
better.
my standard request to them is to be in the top right-hand corner on a right side page. That's what I always ask for, because it's the most visible as you're
Mhm.
flipping through the paper.
Okay,
most of
well,
the time.
So if we decide to do a full page, less the contributions that we already have available through normal tourism, it'll be 45.85 without that
West End Word.
West End Word. Actually, that's including the West End Word. That's using $3,000 for that.
Oh, okay.
Estimated that at $3,000.
And that's both spring and fall.
No,
No.
that's just,
It's just
but that's with the discounted
each
pricing
time.
for
So it'd be
committing to spring and
$6,000.
fall.
Yeah.
So it's
That's a lot.
it's committing to about $8,500, $9,000
So they'll
to this
pay.
project.
Well, another question I have on this, Post-Dispatch, where's the numbers, how many people does that reach? Cause like this over here, she has like numbers where it reaches.
Yeah,
many.
this one, the digital impressions are on there. I have this, of course, back at the office.
I mean, we're all familiar with it, but I don't know the numbers, how many people it reaches.
Right, the distribution, because, you know,
Right.
that distributes all the way down here, too.
Right.
I'm just gonna say it's the entire metro area and
Yeah, it's both
outlying
sides of the
areas,
river.
yeah. I can get you that answer, Sabrina, but I don't think it would necessarily change your, I mean, everybody is familiar with the Post-Dispatch, I think, so.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, like, if we wanna do, like, definitely the full page on this one. And if this is just once a year, right? May 20th, this little insert.
Right, for that particular,
Right.
that's their summer getaways.
Right. So that one would be
That's the
1585
$15.85.
for us. And then if we did the other one, let's just say it's 3,000.
Well, or we could, or
We could do a half.
a suggestion, do a half page now, and we
Yeah.
might be able to upgrade with a discount in the fall
Yes.
if our budget sees that. So that would only be $35.85 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Committing to go in the fall with the option of expanding. that into a full page in the fall, just seeing how funding and, you know, if we're good at this in the spring, maybe our head tax revenue will be better and we'll have the money to do that.
Tom, when you said 35, 85?
Yeah, where are you getting that figure?
Well, what I
think
did
that's
is,
the
I
high one.
did this
3,000.
discounted to 3,000.
Times 2.
Well,
right?
no, I did, but
Oh, okay,
I did a 3,000 plus this 1,585.
Right.
which is the full page,
Full page in the Post-Dispatch.
right?
Well, what if we did a half page
With the full page,
in one of them?
With the
Mhm.
full page over here, just
WW.
once,
Mhm.
and then maybe
that minus the
decide
$500.
in the fall? Because we don't have to commit to the fall right now, do we?
Not for the Post-Dispatch.
No.
The other one, we're telling them that we're going to.
Yeah, if you do.
Yeah, in
Oh,
order to
you
get,
just
get
get
a
a
discount, yeah,
discount.
yeah,
To
right.
get the
Right.
discount,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
But we're only committing to the fall for, we would only be committed to a,
I like doing, this is just me, my opinion, I like reaching out to all three, and what if we did a half page on that and got a discount? And then maybe next year, maybe see how many people it reaches and then upgrade it,
Or is it better to do a full page without the West End World?
yeah.
Because a full
But
page,
then you're reaching an extra 17,000 people,
Yeah.
that's what I like about it.
but you're,
1,800.
full page, you're hitting all the ones that you have.
Or do we splurge
Full.
and reach all three and hit,
Did you take the 600 off?
hit all three?
Well, yeah, this number has the 600.
I mean, I don't know if we should do
Yeah.
full page on this one and these.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah, I think it
Hamstrings
is
what we
too.
can do.
But with
the
the
rest of the year.
contribution from tourism, that half page to all three would be 20, 30, and they're doing approximately $500, or no, $200 off,
Mhm.
250. So I'm gonna do, we'll make it 1,800 even, so 230, minus the 600 contribution from tourism would be 1,200 of
For
our
spring.
contribution for a spring,
Yeah.
for a spring half page, going to all of them.
Then, okay, so,
So you're proposing a half page to the Webster Kirkwood Times, which would be approximately $1,200. We'd have to get the, of our portion, with tourism committing their $600 to that, and then committing to a full page in the Post-Dispatch would be $1,585. So approximately $2,785 in commitments to that. But then also getting that discount commits us to doing at least
Another half page.
that same $1,200
Yeah, right, yeah.
commitment
in the fall.
in the
In the
fall
Mhm.
to do that.
Mhm.
So, Mr. Chair, you have the numbers.
Well, my numbers are approximate
Mhm.
and need to be confirmed, because we estimated the
Mhm.
discounts and things. But it looks like with tourism's contribution, a half page ad in the,
All three.
in all three
three.
Webster Kirkwood Times and the West End World would be approximately $1,200 in expenses to TTC for their spring issue. And combining that with a full page in the summer fun guide with the Post-Dispatch at $1,585, would be an expenditure of $2,785, and those numbers are approximate because the discount is, we estimated, it should be within $50 to $60 of that.
Yeah, and if there's a difference, I can make it up in the other budget.
So,
So
Those
why don't
numbers-
why don't we round that to $2,800, and that gives you a.
Up to, and
Up-
if it's
up
less
to.
than that, good, yeah.
so that's a full page in the Post.
Full page of the Post, half page in the,
All three.
the Times, going to all three distribution areas.
And do we think that it's better to do a half page for all three or a full page for the Webster Kirkwood?
Well, that's,
Right.
well, the thing is, we have people that are traveling and enjoying entertaining in that West End area.
And they're in all those racks.
And they're in
That's
all
a good
those
point.
racks, and there's people on the streets all the time, and they're looking for something to do.
17,000 extra people we're reaching.
So it may be worth it to try that.
And, okay, let me
If
get
it
this
doesn't,
straight
if it
about the
doesn't work,
billboard.
if it doesn't work, we may be able to, with our commitment to the fall issue, back that back just to the two communities as well.
Right.
So if you do a half page, it's more like an ad as opposed to the full page where it's, looks like an article.
Well, what we do is we would cut back on some of the size of the photograph, and what we'd also want to do is make sure we increase the typeface a little bit on the bullet points to draw things in.
What were you going to say, Lauren?
Well, no, because I think the full page is obviously more effective because it looks like an article
Mhm.
instead of just an ad, because people tend to just gloss over it.
Correct.
Well, my
So I don't know.
thing is, okay, the only thing that we got coming up to vote on is the billboard, right?
Well, that's gonna be in July.
Right. I mean, just upcoming throughout the year.
Well, and this is what we're doing, is we're basically trying to do advertising
More of
like
these
this,
small
these smaller
campaigns.
ads,
I'm all
and
for
trying to do
that.
those
Yeah.
at times when tourism dollars are not being spent on advertising specific events.
Right.
Because we have to advertise, we have to do that calendar in there of all the events, as well as giving some editorial type content to tell people the attractions that we have here.
But are we exhausting too many of our funds for the rest of the year?
That's
or-
what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Well, we currently the only thing we have is our commitment, the last quarter's commitments that we made have not been posted yet, just because of the billing cycle lag. And there's about $6,000 in those that we committed that have not come out.
Right, and if we committed today, the only thing you're
Oh,
saying is
yeah, we
about
pretty much have a choice,
$2,800.
about 2,800 to that, or we can go to approximately $3,600 if we committed to the
Full page.
full page in the three.
It's not that big of a difference.
Actually, not 36, I'm sorry.
I think we benefit by just doing it that way, taking full page.
Full
and-
page.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's actually, it's 3,000 there.
Because
It's
we're
actually,
gonna-
it's about
3,000
approximately
is really
45,
6,000.
it's 45,
Wow.
85.
Yeah. What is it?
It would be
45?
45, 85, the 3,000 plus that, if we do a full page in each, using all three.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
You're the
yeah.
post and.
45, right, 45,
A full
85.
page in each publication, including all three options in the Times,
Right.
Okay, so
is
it's
approximately, we don't know. what
45.85 now for the spring, but in the fall, we have another 3,000 if we did the full thing, right?
Approximately 3,000.
Right,
And we,
minus her
and we
money.
could, cut back probably and commit to a full or half page ad and a small, and we might lose part of the discount, but we would probably still continue advertising.
Gotcha.
Or you might decide that the West End word may not be worth it the second time around.
Right, and
Right,
that's-
But
right.
at least you've gotten it in there the first
Yeah,
time around.
Just try it, yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe, and especially maybe if we can contact some of the bed and breakfasts, it'd be interesting to see if we can get them to give us a report of the zip codes of residents of the people that are staying. And see if we can kind of track that to
Anytime we
target some
can
of these
get
neighborhoods.
data, it's a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's just, and it, we're in uncharted territory.
Yes, we are.
We're basically my feeling is that we should try something new, and this feels like we have more control every time we see an opportunity, we can do something.
But we were in uncharted territory when we tried the billboard.
Yeah.
Right.
If that has
And,
utilized its usefulness, or used up its usefulness,
right,
Right.
and the
you know,
nice thing is hopefully soon we'll have a different sign up out on the street, and that'll help drive some people here as well.
Right.
So it's kind of, it really is, in any other discussion, we just kind of need to decide if we want to go big or not.
Go big or go home.
That's
And
it.
we have,
That's right.
all of this is good because we have a responsibility to try to spend this head tax money wisely to get people to come here and promote the tourism of our community.
Right.
And kind of relying on the wisdom of, you know, the people who are on this commission to do that. So if anybody would
Go
like
ahead,
to,
Sabrina.
anybody would like to entertain a motion?
It's all your fault when it screws up. She motioned.
Well, this is approximately
Yeah.
Okay,
48.50.
that's what I had. I
Yeah.
just wanted to
We're
make
just
sure.
not gonna have enough rooms for everybody that's coming.
No, 45.85.
45.85, yeah, I transposed the number, 45, approximately. So it actually would be making $4,900, just
No, 46.
Yeah, you're right.
4,600, yeah.
Yeah, 4,600.
Just round it up and-
4,600, or, we kind of have an option of 4,600 or 2,800. Okay, kind of, it seems to be the
Right.
consensus of the options that we want to try to do, and it's,
And we've
I'll
already,
let you guys discuss it, or if somebody wants to put forth a motion, we'll see what carries.
and we already, committed to $6,000, so just keep that in mind, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's roughly,
Well,
what you're saying
we had
is,
committed $14,000 to the billboards in the past years, and we paid them at the beginning of this cycle. So
Right.
they're still up there, and they don't come up for renewal. The first one comes up for renewal in
July.
There's actually one for renewal now, but
yeah.
it's pretty clear that we won't be
Mhm.
renewing.
So the next time we'll look for that. for
The next
renewals,
one's
it
in
will be
July. Yeah.
So this,
Okay. Well,
So we're
And
doing,
then-
we're thinking full page on all
Right.
three.
either 2,800 or 4,600.
yeah, 4,600 is a full page ad in
That's
two
10
different
bucks.
publications. One
Two
serving
for
the greater
now.
St. Louis area, the other one serving those 3 spot neighborhoods.
And that's versus full and half, reaching all 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm for full and both. That's what I'm for. So I make a motion to approve the ad, full ad, the $4,600 for both.
Second.
Is the motion on the board? Any other further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
It's a brave new world.
Yes, it is.
We're the big spenders.
Right?
Well, it's not, I mean, we discussed it, and I think, you know, we tried to figure out which is the
Well, the
best course of
rationale, I
action,
think,
yeah, yeah.
This is-
I mean, I don't think we'll be accused of just, you know,
No,
No.
I don't think
Just-
it's
Yeah,
any
randomly
worse than
spend.
spending $14,000 on billboards.
Yeah.
Yeah, this-
yeah.
the-
Because this reaches out to so many people, and we're not guaranteed whenever people drive by on the highway that they're seeing those billboards.
Right,
And
yeah.
and those people have guests in their homes, and, you know, and
And
it's
then
on
they
the
can
coffee
see it too.
table.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's a much better way to go.
And they are we gonna get to see a copy of the,
Well, I've been working with Tom on it, so if you're comfortable with that, generally that's what we've been doing.
right? And you
Um,
said basically it's just gonna have like the list of upcoming events.
But we'll do a box that has upcoming events, and usually try to do that with events that are right close, carrying on for 45 to 60 days, depending on how many things there are, what the lag is.
Right.
But we get in the, you know, if it's a garden walk, if it's
French Festival.
French Festival, will be covered in this, because what we may end
Jour
it
de
with, we
Fête.
may end it with French Festival, or then a line at the bottom, you know, Jour de Fête at the very bottom. We'll just try to target, we will look at the dates the publication date, because what we really wanna do is have a couple of events, a couple of things right close to that date, so that there's something they can act on immediately.
Yes.
And we'll also reach out to some of the outlying areas to see if there's something special, whether there's balloon races out at one of the wineries or something like that. If there's something really special like that, we'll make sure we kind of get that in, because that's just,
We might be able to work that into a photograph.
you know, yeah.
And with a full-page format, you've got a lot more room for photographs, so that really helps a lot.
And we
draw
can,
the
and we
eye
can use
in.
small targeted photographs too, they don't have to be.
There is
a
a
great
balloon
big.
thing coming up at one of the wineries in July, and that's always very slow for us, July 4th weekend. So that would be great to try to get that included in
Right.
there.
And so, and we'll look at and we may end up going through French Festival on.
That's in June.
In
Yeah.
June or even 4th of July.
Usually this is these summer fun things are usually covering the whole summer season. So the
Yeah.
kids go back to school is the
Right,
idea.
Okay.
Things to do. So we probably want to get the Tiger Sanctuary in there too, because that's something that people can do over the summer with their kids.
Right, and so, yeah, we
Right.
really, we'll kind of do a broad spectrum, and, but the main thing is we want to make sure that this really features the hotel motels, and say we have the bed and breakfast here, that are within the zone that pays us head tax.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, keep it focused.
Right here, right here.
But it's like, yeah, stay here, go visit there.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Anything under this new business, anything else?
I do have one thing that I just want to ask the committee, because it's really small and I can pay it out of tourism. But there's a sign that we paid for when people are out in wine country, and it's in Mrs. Geck's farm.
That's the renewal on that one,
Yeah.
I remember that from last
Yeah.
year.
So,
Was it $600?
yeah, 650. We paid it in March of last year, and we paid it in May of the year before. I think maybe we were a little bit late that year. But when you come out of Highway WW and you get to B, if you're turning left towards Farmington, there's a sign that says Farmington's this way. And if you're turning right towards St. Genevieve, the sign in Mrs. Geck's farm says turn towards St. Genevieve. So the sign itself is already paid for, it's just the,
And we did pay for it out of this.
yes, we did,
last year.
yeah.
Mhm. I remember that.
So, and that probably is the one that I got confused with, Sabrina, when I was thinking about the other one. But, so if you want to vote on that, that might be good, because we should probably be sending Mrs. Geck a check, so.
Copy of contract, and a bill from that, so we can have that for our records.
Right.
I can email it to you, how's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
sounds
actually make
good.
sure Sabrina gets that.
Okay,
Okay, do we have a motion to renew the sign at Mrs. Geck's farm?
And how much is it? 600?
650 for a year.
For a year.
I'll make a motion to renew.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Bills to pay. I was kind of wondering when that renewal was.
Yeah.
Any other comments or anything that anyone has?
So the billboard, if I can, the billboards on the highway, we're just not going to renew those, or how's that? Or is
One
that
of them
not-
renews in July, one of them renews now. We've discussed it before, and the discussion lately has been, let's do this instead of that.
Mhm.
If you wanted to hedge a little bit, maybe I could find out if they'll let me pay like 3 months and make the decision on both of them in
And the one
July.
that is renewable now, which one is that?
It's the one by Fruitland, Jackson, yeah.
So that's northbound.
coming up from Memphis. The other one is, as you know, it's just south of the Exchange at
67.
Festus, yeah. The Cloverleaf Exchange, just after you pass by Highway 67. So,
Any other business?
Motion adjourned.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.